Who are the hot teams in the Major League Baseball season heading into the playoffs? Stephen Hughes is on tap and set to join us next on the national sports radio station from Los Angeles, California.
I'm living in that 21st century, doing something mean to it. Do it better than anybody you ever seen do it. Screams from the haters, got a nice ring to it. I guess every superhero need his theme music. No one man should have all that power. The clock's ticking, I just count the hours. Stop tripping, I'm tripping off the power. The system broken, the school's closed, the prison's open. We ain't got nothing to lose, everybody we rollin'.
The voice that you've listened to from the beginning. My name is Stephen Hughes. I am back on the national sports radio station. I've had it was a long rest. 2 months I was out. It was just a nice break, and, being back on here, it just feels a lot better. Welcome, it's the return to All Out Baseball with Stephen Hughes. It's supposed to be Stephen's All Out Baseball show, but it had to be significant. The return is real. Stephen Hughes back on the national sports radio station and covering baseball once again. Current game going on right now, the big ALDS series heading to a Game 5. The Detroit Tigers and the Oakland Athletics. Sonny Gray gave up the 2-run shot to Miguel Cabrera in the 4th inning. Has been most of the damage that the Detroit Tigers have had so far on Gray. It is 3-0 so far in the top of the 6th inning. In today's show, the season's over. I missed all of that. The big races in the American League East and all the divisions and stuff and all the clinches and stuff. I want to talk about the postseason. I want to talk about some awards. And then, just predict. Predicting is fun, especially at the end of the show, mainly because it just enhances the fact that if you get it wrong, then you're a pretty bad broadcaster. But anyways, people will still love me, hopefully. Welcome to the return, folks. If you just tuned in, we're going to get things started right now. Let's talk about the postseason. I've been very happy about one team in particular. It's not the Red Sox. It's not the Red Sox, who only had 68 wins this year. Last year they eclipsed that like in the middle of August, which is ridiculous. They just passed it easily, winning the AL East with ease. It's not the Pittsburgh Pirates who finally made the playoffs for the first time since 1992 and won a playoff game for the first time since 1979. But it's the fact that the Tampa Bay Rays had such a mess getting to the playoffs. They were hot, they were cold, they had injuries. Now then at the end of the year with the last week to go, they're on the verge of not making it, and that would have been a huge disappointment over there in Florida. Tampa Bay, a great team with some consistency as of late in the last 7 years, or not 7 years, about 5 years, ever since 2008 when they made it to their first fall classic in beating the Red Sox in the ALCS that year. They take on the Red Sox this year, but I like their road getting there. Playing in their final series, not at the Trop, is in the Rogers Center in Toronto. Playing hostile territory. Toronto, maybe a team to possibly look at for next year. Definitely a disappointment for this year with their big offseason, but maybe next year when the chemistry is there, hopefully they can become a potential AL East contender alongside with Boston, maybe alongside Baltimore and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay just squeezing out there with a win. Then the Indians win. They get to have home field advantage for the wild card game. And Tampa Bay has to go from Toronto to Texas. Texas is a team that chokes like no other, and that's what they did, obviously. They lost to the Tampa Bay Rays. Tampa Bay Rays had to go from Toronto to Texas, then all the way next day to Cleveland, then beat Cleveland, and then have some more fun. They had to travel all the way back to the East Coast and play Boston on Friday, October the 4th. And at that time, I feel like, you know, after game 2 when they lost 7-4 to Boston, things weren't looking so good. They were kind of wiped out that they had to play 2 extra playoff, actually 1 extra post regular season game in the tiebreaker against Texas, and then they had to play an extra postseason game against the Cleveland Indians. And I feel like they were wiped out a bit. The pitching was fine. I feel like the batting was very inconsistent. Jose Lebaton in game 3 was huge. Jose Molina is a good ball player. He's very slow, very old. And I feel like Lebaton could be the future catcher for Tampa Bay. But the fact that David Price is saying that he's expecting to be traded out of Tampa Bay is obviously depressing. And he says a fact. It's this is a news developing earlier today. Rice thinks that he's going to be traded, and that's going to be a fact. And it kind of is. Tampa Bay has X amount of money that the Yankees top over by like 10 times. So Tampa Bay has to have limits. And that's the same thing that happened to James Shields. He had to get traded over to the Royals. But, going back to the point of the Rays, they had a long road. They had some injuries. Matt Moore, their all-star, who had a terrific first half, got himself injured, then he struggled. But, I think the Rays, if they're able to pick up Price for just one more year and have a pretty good offseason, that includes getting Price back, getting a couple of guys that fill in positions that, need to be filled in with a good player, not just a decent or below average player. But the Rays are eliminated. Boston is going to the ALCS. Boston is definitely watching TV right now as they are watching the Tigers-A's game. 3-0 is your score. We're in between the top and the bottom of the 6th inning. The Tigers are the lead over there at O.Co Coliseum. This ALDS between Detroit and Oakland has been, one to definitely watch. First off, I'm going to give a hand to the O.Co stadium staff for the guys who, transform O.Co from a baseball field to a football field and vice versa. It's a very hard job, and, they had to move the football game, the Raiders game, from 1 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific time to 8:30, which is literally never going to happen again unless this happens again, with Oakland playing in the playoffs on a Saturday. And then it took 20 hours, less than a day, and that's literally impossible for the O.Co staff to construct O.Co from a baseball field to a football field. It took 20 hours, and supposedly every time they do it, it costs $250,000. But I'm just blabbering about that. Let's talk about the ALDS itself. The pitching has been incredible. Well, I should say incredible at O.Co. And Game 3 and Game 4, it was more of a offensive showdown as both teams were able to score 6 runs at least once. Oakland scored 6 runs in both Game 3 and Game 4 in Detroit. Detroit scored 3 in the Game 3 and 8 in Game 4. They were able to hold off the A's in that one. And a very intense Game 4 with Max Scherzer coming out of the bullpen, surprisingly. Not being able to pitch in Game 5 if they needed, probably. We'll see if that's the case. But Justin Verlander, so far, has done pretty well in the heading to the bottom of 6. 5 pretty strong innings from the two-time Cy Young Award winner. And from what the score shows and what facts are obviously out there when you're down by 3 in the bottom of the 6th in Game 5 of the ALDS, I feel like Detroit is going to win. So the ALCS is going to be very fun. The NLCS is going to be the Dodgers and the Cardinals. Dodgers beating the Braves in 4 games. Dave Carpenter of the Braves, I feel bad for him. Hanging curveball, and Uribe just kills it. Absolute mammo into the Dodgers bullpen. That was a shot. I'm sorry. I feel bad for him, but, that was a mammo. And Juan Uribe, that's not the first time he's been that clutch. He's been clutch with the Giants when they're on that 2010 World Series run. This isn't just like a once in, a career type of thing. This is pretty much once every 2 years with him. Or every time he's in the postseason, he's just clutch. Being on the 2005 White Sox team as well, being clutch there as well. His early years and probably his prime. He's gone, he's not at the game he was in 2005, but there's not a big difference. He's still clutch. He's still a hitter. He can still field. The next couple of years is going to be a narrow slope down for him, and that's when he's going to have to think of throwing in the towel. But NLCS, the first 2 games will be at Busch. 3, 4, and 5. 5 will be, if necessary, will be played at Dodger Stadium at Chavez Ravine. Game 6, Game 7 also, if necessary, back at Busch Stadium. NLCS starts on Friday. ALCS starts on Saturday. So tomorrow, Dodgers and Cardinals. Greinke will be on the mound for the Dodgers. Don Kelly. No, that's not his name. That's not Don Kelly. Something Kelly. Forgot the name. I can't pop it out of my head. We have a tight show right now. He'll be pitching for the Cardinals in Game 1. I got to go to Advantage Dodgers. They're feeling themselves a lot. St. Louis just had to beat out the Pirates, who hadn't won a playoff series since they won the World Series 34 years ago in 1979. A fun fact for you guys, presented by Spreaker.com. Be heard. Dodgers, they have the advantage. Their offense has really done well. Posting up double digits in the playoffs is a little bit surprising when the matchup is so even between the Dodgers and the Braves. Dodgers able to pull it out, playing against the Cardinals. Game 1, I'm going to go with the Dodgers in this one. Even though the Dodgers don't have Matt Kemp, who is out for the rest of the season or probably the calendar year due to shoulder surgery, the Dodgers are doing well without him. Their pitching is doing incredible. Cy Young talks. We'll be talking about one of the Dodgers pitchers very soon. I'll give you a hint. He's a left-handed pitcher, and he's lanky. And, this is going to be very exciting. And for the NLCS and ALCS, I'll give you my predictions at the end of the show, and we'll talk about who will win the World Series, in my opinion. Ooh la la. Let's go to a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be I'm going to be breaking down the National League and American League Rookie of the Year awards, and later on the show, breaking down the NL MVP and AL MVP. AL MVP is a unanimous, probably. It's not going to be close, or maybe it might be, maybe it won't. It's probably going to be unanimous. And then near the end of the show and towards predictions, we're going to have the Cy Young talks involving that Dodgers lefty when we come back to the return of Steven's All Out Baseball Show here on Spreaker.com in affiliation with the National Sports, her radio station.
With some light-skinned girls and some Kelly Rollins. In this white man world, we the ones chosen. So good night, cool world. I see you in the morning. I see you in the morning. This is way too much. I need a moment. No one man should have all that power. The clock's ticking. I just count the hours. Stop tripping. I'm tripping off the power. Till then, that the world's ours.
Your presentation of national sports is brought to you by Spreaker.com. Broadcast and listen to news, radio, and music with one low monthly rate. Your show will be right back after this word from your local stations.
Welcome back to the return of Steven Sell Baseball Show here on the National Sports Radio Station, based here in the great state of California. My name is Steven Hughes, your host of tonight's return to Spreaker.com. A little self-celebratory little show for me. Yay! You know, getting back to where I really belong, behind the microphone, and talking to you guys about some baseball. Talking about the postseason, first half of the show, or the first, part of the show. Let's talk about the National League Rookie of the Year awards. It's gonna be some fun now, as we got some candidates on our hands. But I gotta say, I already made my decision. I think Yasiel Puig is not my predicted winner. In 98 games, he batted .327 with 18 home runs, 41 RBIs. Nicknamed the Wild Horse by Vince Scully, he has been a polarizing figure during a spectacular rookie year in Los Angeles. He won fans and gained national attention by ESPN and their use of the Dodgers as great motivation to get their ratings up. What did I say? Oh, sorry. Puig is the first player since Joe DiMaggio in 1936 to amass 70 or more hits and 10-plus home runs in his first 50 Major League ball games. That's pretty incredible for the Cuban. His 18 home runs are the most by a Dodgers rookie since Mike Piazza. No, it's not Pizza. It's Piazza, the catcher, the possible Hall of Famer. But his Puig's 18 is half of what Mike Piazza had in 1993 in his rookie year. Piazza had 35. That's pretty ridiculous. He'd had a lot more if he hadn't missed the first 2 months of the year. For Puig, maybe he had probably like 23, but he wouldn't have slugged 35 or 17 home runs in the first 2 months of the year to equal what he had after those 2 months, let's just say. But even though his OPS was .941, that's pretty high, Yasiel Puig is not my Rookie of the Year. It's actually the worst team in the National League. Their starting pitcher is definitely my Rookie of the Year, Jose Fernandez, the guy that, kind of starred out and tried to be the man, walking down around the bases. After his home run, he just stared at it like Little League. That was very funny, but he kind of dogged it. That was kind of funny. Jose Fernandez is my Rookie of the Year. 12-6 record in 28 games started. Only 58 walks to 187 strikeouts with a 2.19 ERA. He has some long-term aspirations. In a 2012 interview, he declared, "I would want to be a Hall of Famer." Even though that sounds ridiculous, and he is at a very young age, at the age of only 20, he can still do good. With a great rookie campaign, the Marlins went 18-10 in his outings, and has a 40. The Marlins had a 40-89 record in games pitched by the team's other 10 starters this season. Only 58 wins this year and 99 losses. Let's just say that Jose Fernandez is your best pitcher and is your best possibility of maybe rebuilding this team that looked good in 2012, but then crapped itself in 2012 and didn't do any better in 2013. So Jose Fernandez, definitely my Rookie of the Year. He's a great pitcher. He has potential to be a Cy Young Award winner. Alongside him, maybe Clayton Kershaw, maybe even Adam Wainwright, Zach Greinke. He's going to be in that list in a couple of years. And that might not be even a couple of years. It might even be next year. His numbers are pretty good. Now, my dark horse, and yeah, it's my dark horse. Julio Teheran, the Braves, 13-8 record, 3.09 ERA. Similar numbers to Jose Fernandez, but Hernandez has an extremely low ERA compared to Teheran. A 3.09 for Teheran compared to a 2.19 by Fernandez. Who you take in a fantasy? Take Fernandez. because he's more of a reliable pitcher, and he just rears back and fires. With Tehran, his AAA season was horrendous. He posted a 5.08 ERA and decided to be good in the major leagues. So, thanks Roger McDowell, the Atlanta pitching coach, for maybe tweaking a bit of things and just making him a very good pitcher, a valuable asset for years to come if Tehran sticks over there at Turner Field in the Braves organization. Now let's go to the American League Rookie of the Year, where it's a two-man race. The front runners are second baseman, former Red Sox and current Tiger Jose Iglesias, and then Will Myers of the Rays. Jose Iglesias was traded at the trade deadline because the Tigers had suspended shortstop, or infielder I should say, in Johnny Peralta. He accepted a suspension in part of his connection with the Biogenesis Clinic and all that PhD stuff and drugs. Jose Iglesias became an asset for the Tigers as he ended the year with a .310 batting average, and he flashed some solid defense this year, both at shortstop and third base, for the two different contenders, as I said, the Red Sox and the Tigers. As for Will Myers, he provided a great spark for the Rays, entering, probably, as you say, September 7th. From his beginning to September 7th, looking at the period charts that he has around my screen, he batted .300 with 13 home runs, 49 RBIs. He's only played in 77 games at that time, so he probably played around triple digits. Triple digits, I think, or maybe just less than triple digits. He can appear in 88 games at the most. That would be a record low for an AL position player in non-strikes years for a Rookie of the Year by 34 games. So playing 88 games at the most and winning the Rookie of the Year, that sounds pretty hard. Fellow Rays pitcher is in the mix as well. Chris Archer, he was 9-7 with a 3.02 ERA at the time of September 7th with a WHIP of 1.08. He's not in the mix anymore, in my opinion, because his ERA inflated during the month of September and into October. He just got hammered on the mound, and that's why he wasn't really able to show himself in the postseason, because he was struggling at the end of the year. He couldn't find his stuff. He was leaving pitchers over the plate too much. But things have to happen and things have to change, and the Rays, I feel like, with their home-raised pitching rotation and a team that is the potential AL East champions next year, if they have a good offseason, that's why I said it earlier, they can be in there to win it. Before we go to commercial break, I'm gonna just go ahead with the American League MVP, because it's not even a discussion. It's an easy victory. Miguel Cabrera batting better than last year, his Triple Crown year, batting .348, 44 home runs, 137 RBIs. He led the league in batting average for the third straight year, topping his best of .344 back in 2011. He only had 94 strikeouts, and that's incredible. He only played 148 games compared to the 161 games he played in 2012 and 2011. His 148 games this year have been due to injuries and stuff like that. 44 home runs, 137 RBIs. That's almost the same numbers he had in his Triple Crown year, just last year. But they have that one guy out there, who could change everything up. His name? Chris Davis of the Baltimore Orioles, the first baseman, having a monster year. People say, hey, he might be in it to win it, but nah. 138 RBIs, 53 home runs with a batting average of .286. That batting average dipped so much in the second half, having an incredible first half of the season, becoming one of the best first half batters in Major League history with his single season stats in the first half. The age 27, he's hitting 53 home runs. The most he had before then was 33 in 2012. Before that, 21 in 2009. He wasn't even in the Baltimore system. He was in Texas. Safe to say, Baltimore is very happy that, in only 3 years in Baltimore, he's contributed to 88 home runs. And that's pretty ridiculous. In 3 years, that's ridiculous. That's almost 30 home runs a year. And what's the salary? They have it on here. Come on, son. Where is it? Oh, here we go. $3.3 million. That's pretty good. $3.3 million for hitting 53 home runs. That salary may go up a wee bit. Just a wee bit. But Miguel Cabrera, his numbers just say a lot. And he's making $22 million or $21 million a year. It's going to go up to $22 million for the next 2 years in 2014 and 2015. So in his career to date, salary, he's made $116 million. In his days of Florida and Detroit, he's made all his double-digit millions per year. In Detroit, 11. In 2008, in his first days, 14. It kept on growing, 11, 14, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22, 22. His earliest free agency will be in 2016. He's probably going to be staying in he's probably staying in Detroit. If anyone wanted to know about, a little history, his trade on December 4th, 2007, he was traded to by the Florida Marlins with Dontrell Willis D-Train to the Detroit Tigers for Dallas Teheran, Bert Vanderhop, Frankie De La Cruz, Cameron Maybin, Andrew Miller, and Mike Rebello. Three of those guys I've never heard, or four of those guys I've never heard of. Cameron Maybin, obviously, he's over in the system, or not in the system, he's with the Padres. And then Andrew Miller, I think he was with the A's, and now he's with the Red Sox. And yes, he is. He's with the Red Sox. And I feel like he's on the DL, and yes, he is. I knew he was on the DL. I was just thinking if that was the right guy or not. He had left foot surgery back in July, and he's on the 60-day DL. So a little fun fact right there for the probable AL MVP award winner. Little mistake there in return for Stephen Hughes on the All Out Sports Show, or All Out Baseball Show. When I come back to wrap up the show, I'll be breaking down the NL MVP award race and the Cy Young award race for both the American League and the National League. When we come back to the return of Steven's All Out Baseball Show here on Spreaker.com in affiliation with the National Sports Radio Station.
You take the clothes off my back and I let you. You'd steal the food right out my mouth, and I'd watch you eat it. I still don't know why I love you so much. Oh, you curse my name in spite to put me to shame. Have my laundry in the streets, dirty or clean. Give it up for fame, but I still don't know why I love it so much. Yeah. And baby, it's amazing I'm in this maze with you. I just can't crack your code. One day you're screaming you love me loud, the next day you're so cold.
Welcome back to the return of the All Out Baseball Show with Stephen Hughes on hand. I'm your host, and let's break down the NL MVP race. Number one is Andrew McCutchen of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pittsburgh obviously committed to the franchise player, signing him to a 6-year, $51.5 million contract. And, he's leading the Pirates to the promised land after 2 decades of bad baseball. McCutcheon is trying to join the likes of Barry Bonds, Willie Stargell, Dave Parker, Roberto Clemente, and Paul Warner as the 6th Pittsburgh outfielder to win the award. Shortstop Dick Groat also snagged one in 1960, in which the Pirates won the World Series that year with the Scrimshy Big Shot. He leads the league with a WAR of 7.2 and provides a hitting defense speed package that makes him valuable in a multitude of ways. His 384 batting average in August was the highest by a Pirate since Jason Kendall hit a 413 in 1996. So he entered the final leg of the season with a mother load of momentum. Although good synergies and points only count for only so much in an MVP race, McCutcheon also grades out well on the leadership professionalism scale that MVP voters traditionally hold dear. He's getting a lot of support from MLB players, such as Adam LaRoche. He's got my vote. That's all he had to say. McCutcheon, with his 18 home runs and 27 stolen bases, he's on track to join Barry Bonds and Andy Van Slyke as the third 2030 players in Pirates history. That didn't happen, unfortunately, as he was only... Actually, I kind of want to check that out. I'm not 100% sure that is really the case. Andrew McCutcheon. That's from an early stolen bases. Yeah, he was 3. He didn't get a stolen base since... He didn't have a stolen base for a month. He just laid low. He's still ranked 5th in stolen bases with 27. He was trying to get... he was at 21 home runs. But he had 21 home runs of the year, but he only had 27 stolen bases. Not enough for that 2030 to be at that elite group for the Pirates. So alongside Andrew McCutcheon in the race, you have Yadier Molina, who was also in the race last year, but he lost to Buster Posey, being the runner-up in that race back in 2012. He's a leader, but he's not just a one-man team. He's on the Cardinals. The Cardinals are a legit team with great offense alongside him with Matt Carpenter, Alan Craig, Matt Holliday, and Carlos Beltran on the same lineup card that he's in as well. He's number 3 in RBIs. He's a prominent bat in that St. Louis order, and that's why he's one of the best hitting catchers in Major League Baseball. Alongside him, Buster Posey, Joe Mauer, Russell Martin. He's a dark horse because he's been going down a little bit since his years in Los Angeles. And then lastly, let's go with Paul Goldschmidt. He's not going to win it, unfortunately. The Diamondbacks had an injury-filled year. Also, some disappointing performances. Ian Kennedy, who had to be traded over to San Diego, Miguel Montero, Jason Kubel, and then injuries happened. Adam Eaton, Aaron Hill, Cody Ross. It wasn't a great year for Arizona. They had one shining star, though, was Paul Goldschmidt. 3rd in the league in walks and, 2nd in pitches per plate appearance. Those are some great stats, but he was, those stats are not going to be very big in the MVP voting. It goes by RBIs, who he led the National League with 106. He had 31 home runs, which is second behind Pirates third baseman Pedro Alvarez, but he's not going to have my vote. The Diamondbacks need to have him have a great year, another monster year, and then at the same time have a great year as well and make it to the playoffs so he can be MVP material. That's the case for Adrian McCutcheon. He's led the team to the playoffs for the first time in 21 years, and that's why Adrian McCutcheon has my vote for MVP. The homegrown product. He's been in the bad times for Pittsburgh. He has been in the good times with Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is right back in it. And 2 more things before I wrap up the show here, the return of Stephen Hughes to Spreaker.com. The Cy Young award race and predictions. Let's start with the American League race for Cy Young, and it's not really a race anymore. My vote will go to Max Scherzer, 21-3 with a 2.90 ERA. A terrific year for him. 240 strikeouts that led the American League Great work by him. Only 214 innings pitched. He's definitely got my vote. Some other guys that could, be the dark horse. Bartolo Colon, 18-6, a 2.65 ERA, 117 strikeouts though. You saw a strikeout guy. He's more of a fly ball / ground ball type of guy that needs it. Needs it to be successful. The retiree Mariano Rivera, maybe him. 44 saves, 6-2 record, 2.11 ERA, 64 innings. Had an inning per game. 64 games, 64 innings. And lastly, Jim Johnson started for the Orioles. Not starter, closer for the Baltimore Orioles. He's 3-8 with a 2.94 ERA, but he did have 50 saves that led the American League. But sticking with Max Scherzer, he's probably going to win it in a landslide. I don't think anyone could really upset Max Scherzer. Only 3 lost games, and the only guy with over 20 wins. That's hard to beat. In the National League, Clayton Kershaw is the front runner, 16-9 with an incredible 1.83 ERA as a starter. Only 48 earned runs and 236 innings pitched. 232 strikeouts, which led the National League. 33 games started, 33 games pitched. I'm not sure. He had 2 shutouts, which is pretty good. He does have competition, not like Max Scherzer in the American League. Does have Craig Kimbrell, 50 saves on the year, a 4-3 record with a 1.21 ERA, only 9 earned runs the entire year for Craig Kimbrell. Kimbrell, I think he possibly could be the next Mariano Rivera. He has a lot of stuff. He can be he could be a Hall of Famer. He has the stature. He's 5'11". He's 205 pounds. He just pumps 98 miles. 98. He's 25, and he already has 139 saves in his career. He's only had 3 years of experience in Major League Baseball. In 3 years, I'm just gonna do some math here. Let's do some math, folks. Let's pull out the calculator. Let's have some fun here. Let's do some easy math here on a baseball show. 139 saves divided by 3 damn seasons. That's 46 saves a year. How can you not say 46 games a year is good enough? He went to a community college. He just pumps 98. That's ridiculous. I want to actually check out Mariano Rivera as well. Let's check out his average, per season on saves. 652 saves, obviously the all-time leader in that category. 652 divided by 18, 36 saves a year. Kimbrell has 10 saves more in 3 seasons than Mariano Rivera had in 18 seasons. I'm not saying that Craig Kimbrell is on track to just wipe out Rivera's record. I'm saying that Kimbrell could be just like Mariano Rivera. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to, happen. And he's going to be the John Smoltz of the Braves, as he just is the face of the franchise. He could be that. He can be, anything can happen with him. But Craig Kimbrell, I'm going to watch out for him as next year, if he goes off, it's going to be a Cy Young possibility. He could possibly be the first time in the 21st century to win the Cy Young Award as a reliever. Back to the Cy Young race in the National League. Clayton Kershaw, he's got my vote. But other guys that could be in the race. Zach Greinke, Philadelphia Dodger, 15-4 record with a 2.63 ERA, 148 strikeouts. He pitched in 28 games, 28 starts. He obviously missed some games due to his broken collarbone. All the way back at the beginning of the year, if you guys didn't remember, that Dodgers-Padres brawl, that seemed like a long time ago. But Greinke and Carlos Quentin, that that brawl happened, sad to say, 6 months ago. 6 months ago. Time has flown by so fast. Also, you got Jordan Zimmerman, a 19-9 record with a 3.25 ERA. His 19 wins are tied for second in Major League Baseball alongside Adam Wainwright, who actually, Wainwright clinched Game 5 for the Cardinals to head to the NLCS just last night. He's also in the running, but, I'm not a big fan of Adam Wainwright. He can get shelled. He could get shelled big time. He has a good curveball, good fastball. That combination is pretty dirty. But Clayton Kershaw and Max Scherzer, for their respective leagues, the winners of the Cy Young Award. And lastly, the prediction for the 2013 playoffs. Let's begin. Let's start on the road to the playoffs, or to where we're at right now. Tampa Bay having to beat Texas and Cleveland to clinch their spot into the ALDS. Pittsburgh winning their first playoff game since 1979. Pittsburgh trying to win their first playoff series since 1979. Plays the St. Louis Cardinals. The Dodgers take on the Braves, and the Tigers take on the Oakland A's. The Dodgers beat the Braves in 4. The Cardinals beat the Pirates in 5. Detroit and Oakland still going on. And let's actually give you some breaking news. After 7 innings, it is still 3-0. 3-0 Detroit. And the Boston Red Sox beat Tampa Bay in 4. This is where we're at right now. Detroit and Boston. I am choosing Boston in I'm choosing Boston in 6 games. They'll have a definite advantage in Fenway. They'll pull one out in Detroit. They'll pull 1 or 2 out in Detroit. They might clinch it there, but I don't feel like they will. So I'll get Boston in 6. They'll clinch it at Fenway. And then the St. Louis Cardinals and the Los Angeles Dodgers, starting in Busch, then going to Chavez Ravine, then Busch again. We'll go the Dodgers in 6 as well. They'll pull one off in the first 2 games. Then I think the Dodgers are gonna roll into Chavez Ravine with a lot of advantage, being the home team and having such a great fan base that advantage for them. I feel like that's gonna be it for the Dodgers, and the Cardinals are gonna have a disadvantage. Matt Holliday with his mishaps and with his embarrassing moments at Dodger Stadium. Remember that fly ball that was just a simple line drive over to Matt Holliday, and he said, "The lights were in my face." He dropped the ball, and the Cardinals will eventually lose to the Dodgers. Let's think back. That was 2009. 2009. In his early days with the Cardinals, Matt Holliday made a huge mistake, and I feel like he could possibly do that once again. But the Dodgers, in my opinion, will make it to the World Series. Dodgers and Red Sox. Let's end off the show with a beautiful, prediction. I'm going to say the Dodgers in 7 games. Let's make this a classic. Red Sox in 7 games. Dodgers, they had an opportunity. I think I said Red Sox the first time. I said the Dodgers the first time. Heck no. I'm a Giants fan. Or actually a Giants supporter, since I'm from the Bay Area. I'm going to go with the Red Sox. The Dodgers have a great team. Their chemistry is there now. It wasn't there at the end of the 2012 season. Now it's here entirely. But the Red Sox are just too good of a team. Pitching is outstanding. They can do a lot to you. Their batting is the biggest plus for them. They have a stacked lineup. Daniel Nava, he's an underdog, and he's from the Bay Area, so I got to count him in first. David Ortiz, Dustin Pedroia, Mike Napoli, Johnny Gomes. He can be a pinch hitter or DH. Jared Saltalamacchia, Jose Iglesias, who I talked about as Rookie of the Year probably in the American League. I cannot give enough facts that support the Dodgers winning the World Series. Not the Dodgers, the Red Sox. The return at the end of it is a struggle. The Red Sox are going to win it in 7 games. They're going to win it in Fenway because the American League won the All-Star game in New York, so they'll get the final 2 games of the series if necessary. And it'll be on Halloween, so it'll be the first time in a little while the World Series, at the if necessary point in Game 7 will end in November. It will not end in November. Game 7, if necessary, will be on Halloween on Wednesday the 31st. Thursday the 31st. So, look, if you're trying to have some Thanksgiving, a pre-Thanksgiving party, when the World Series is going on, it's not going to happen because it's not even going to make it into November. But the Red Sox are going to win it on Halloween. Wally, the Fenway monster, he's going to be very happy. And I'm going to say my congratulations to Boston. They'll be winning their 3rd World Series in the 21st century as they won 2 or 3 in the 20th century combined, and they had an 86-year streak of not winning anything. And the Red Sox, their franchises, they're on the bounce back. They're looking terrific. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to Steven's All Out Baseball Show here on Spreaker.com on the National Sports Radio Station. It is the return of me coming back to Spreaker.com after 2 months rest, missing out on the entire postseason race, with the Indians clinching for the first time since 2007. Some great fun to watch some baseball. Wrapping up here from the All Out Baseball Show studios with all of us here on the National Sports Radio Station. My name is Stephen Hughes. Thank you very much for listening. Tune in to another All Out Baseball Show as the postseason comes to an end. Good night, everybody.